Hi guys, as you can probably tell from the title of this video, it's not going to be for everyone. If you're not into hearing about birth horror stories and anything remotely gory, then I strongly suggest that you stop the video now. But if you are into this kind of thing, then please carry on. Okay, so this is the story all about how my daughter came into the world. She was my first child and I had a natural birth with her. There were a few complications along the way, but generally everything went okay. And as it was my first birth, I didn't know what to expect, so I kind of just went with it. It was only afterwards that I realised how dramatic it probably was. Okay, so I'm going to start my story with my waters breaking. The night that it happened was a very stressful evening indeed. Unfortunately, that was the night one of my dogs unfortunately had to be put to sleep. He was old and he had a bit of a funny turn, and literally after he'd been taken away by the vets, within the hour a neighbour came to the door to tell me the window of my car had been smashed by some idiot. And then just as my partner had got off the phone to the police to report it, he said, "I hope nothing else happens tonight." Famous last words there, because as I stood up off the chair I was sitting on, my waters just gushed everywhere. And it wasn't a little trickle like some of my family members had led me to believe and other people had said. No, it was like Niagara Falls, and it was really scary, especially with everything else happening. I mean, it was completely expected because the night when it happened, it was about 10:30 at night. That was actually the day she was due, so she was almost bang on schedule really. But luckily she waited until all the other havoc and stress was out the way, which was very nice of her. Once that had happened, we phoned up the hospital, but I wasn't sort of told to go in straight away. You have to kind of wait around, which I was kind of surprised by, because obviously when something like that happens you think, oh my god, I need to get to hospital straight away. But I had no contractions, there's no pain, no anything at all for quite a few hours. But I didn't sleep that night at all. I was just running on adrenaline because I thought, oh my god, in the next 24 hours I'm going to meet my baby. And it was so strange that the hours sort of dragged but sped by all at the same time. It was very weird. It was the following day that I was actually taken to hospital when they said, yeah, you should probably come in now. It was about lunchtime. And when they saw me, I was having contractions by then, so I thought, oh, it's close. But when they examined me, they said, no, you're not, you're nowhere near dilated enough to be kept in. But I think the main reason they didn't keep me in, because they usually do, as far as I know, was because they had no rooms, no beds upstairs. So I was kind of left feeling a bit lost, and I was like, what do I do? And then I was sent back home by 2 o'clock, so I hadn't even been there that long while they checked me over and stuff. They offered me some pain relief, I think it was cocodamol, but I remembered the midwife standing over me, watching me, ready to take him, and I can't do that. If someone gets me to take a tablet in front of them, I can't do it. So I went home, no pain relief, and literally as soon as I got home from the hospital, everything just went like that. It was as if my body had gone, right, the baby's coming now. Obviously, being my first pregnancy and imminent birth, I didn't know what was right, I didn't know what I was feeling, and because I wasn't in hospital, I had no one to ask. I could only sort of keep getting my mum or my partner to phone the hospital, but I didn't want to keep pestering. And then a few hours after I got home, like about 5 o'clock, the pain intensified so much. It was like the most overwhelming urge to have a poo. Now, anyone that's had a baby naturally will know exactly what I mean. And that is actually when you need to push the baby out. And I had this for about 2 hours when I was at home, and I thought, you know what, I can't take this anymore. It's agony. So I got my partner to phone the hospital again, and then they said, oh yeah, bring her in. I wouldn't say it's the worst pain I've ever felt in my life, but it is pretty damn close. It's more the panic of the discomfort, because you don't know what to do with your body, you don't know what to do with yourself at all. because you're not going to feel that kind of pain many times in your life unless you have about 20 kids, which will probably wreck your body. But it just makes it so scary not knowing what to expect. When I got back to the hospital and they examined me again, they realised that I was actually ready to give birth there and then. I was ready to push, I was fully dilated, and this happened within a few hours, which I don't think they expected, so they shouldn't have really sent me home. But unfortunately there was still no beds available upstairs, so I had to give birth to my daughter in a side examination room, which is tiny. There's not a lot in there at all. I don't think there was any gas and air as far as I can remember. I didn't end up having any. I wasn't offered it. I don't think I would have anyway, because I'd read that it made you really dizzy, so I was paranoid that I'd feel dizzy and then feel sick, and so I didn't have any pain relief the whole way through, because I just thought I don't want to feel ill as well as having to push out a baby. There's only one midwife there, and she kept popping off out the room and leaving me, and I thought, oh my god, what's going on? It was just the weirdest thing. That I felt like nothing was explained properly to me. No one was supporting me. I was so lost. As soon as they said I could push though, I thought, right, let's do this, and I was so focused, and it was such a relief to be able to push, because for the moment when you are pushing, it does really relieve the pain, and you just think, I'm closer to getting this baby out and it'll all be over. But yeah, that's where the complications started. My daughter obviously was ready to come out, but she had other ideas. I'm told that someone told me at first that she'd got a hand up, so she got wedged like with a hand up here, but then someone else told me that instead of having her head tucked down, like obviously ready to brace herself to come out, she had her head back like this, and so she got a bit trapped. And I was pushing 2 hours, which I don't think they're supposed to leave you pushing for any longer than that, and I didn't know this at the time, but my partner told me whilst she was attending to us, he saw quite a bit of panic in her eyes a few times. I think she was trying to call someone to help with the birth, but eventually loads of people turned up in the room. There was like a trainee midwife and another midwife, a couple of other people, there might have been an anaesthetist, I don't know. There were just about 7 people around my bed in the end. And unfortunately, because I'd been pushing so long and my baby was stuck basically, she was crowning and everything. Her head was on the way, but she just got so wedged that she needed some help. So they had to give me an injection to numb down there and give a little cut to help her out. Sorry if that's a bit graphic. And they also, because she was so stuck and being so awkward, they had to put what's called a ventouse onto her head, like a little suction cup, like a vacuum basically, and they had to hoover her out. So yeah, she was a little menace from the beginning. It's quite scary looking back at it now and hearing that, like, the notes read back to you of how she was delivered, and what, just thinking about what could have gone wrong is terrifying. But at the time, it's just like, let's just get on with it. I think that's what most women would do anyway in that situation. But yeah, once they'd assisted with all the bits and bobs, she was out, she screamed her head off, she weed on the midwife, and then they gave her to Dan, my other half, because I was so full of adrenaline, my legs and my arms were shaking. But then I obviously had to, after everything that had happened, I'd ended up with a 3rd-degree tear, which is like pretty much one of the worst kind you can have. I hadn't slept for over 24 hours anyway, so I was a bit out of it. But I think I was waiting around for about 2 hours before I was taken to the theatre to be repaired, as it were. Nice image there. I was in theatre a long time, because I think it takes more time to fix stuff like that than it does to perform a caesarean. And it was just the most bizarre thing. I had an epidural before they did like any of the surgery, so my legs was completely numb. I couldn't feel anything from the waist down, which was good. You wouldn't want to. And yeah, I just, that's a bit of a blur too, again because I was so tired. I just was all repaired, and then sent back up to the recovery ward, and my little baby was there with Dan. Obviously after having the epidural, I then had to have a catheter fitted, which, in case anybody doesn't know, if you've had an injection to numb you from the waist down, you're going to wet yourself because you won't know you need a wig. So it's like a tube that collects it all. Lovely. They're so comfortable. After having all that done as well, I was sent home with a bag like this full of tablets. I had antibiotics, I had loads of painkillers, I can't remember what else. I had loads of random tablets, like I owned a chemist. The recovery after the stitches wasn't very nice, I can tell you. It's very uncomfortable down there, and the first time you go to the toilet for a number 2 is very scary. And that the midwives and health visitors were constantly asking if I'd been for one, which was very, very nice and invasive, but they need to know to check that everything's working down there, because after something like that you can have all sorts of complications. You can suffer from incontinence and all sorts, but luckily the doctor who mended everything did a fabulous job. That's all I'm going to say. Sorry if that's a bit too much, but yeah, I'm so glad she was there that day, I tell you. That's the story of my natural birth with my daughter. I'm sorry if it was a bit too much information, but I just thought I would share it because I know some people like to watch these kind of things just to hear for themselves what certain situations are like when it comes to birth. I also am going to make another video at some point to talk about my second birth that I had, which is with my son. He was born on the 6th of February this year, so it's all quite fresh in my mind, which I don't know if that's a good thing. So I'm gonna make a video just going through that. I won't go into really gory details. I'll try not to, because I don't like to freak people out too much. Thanks for watching this. Hopefully it's given someone an idea of what it's like to go through childbirth. Although childbirth is a very scary experience, I think it is completely worth it in the end once you've got through all the panic and the pain. I think the excitement of meeting your baby for the first time gets you through all of that. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!